space there. There's some available space, and if the space is vacant, somebody gonna fill it.
The young man
Yeah. Keith, I mean, go ahead.
Well, originally I'm not from Chicago, but I've been
You're
here.
showing your art a lot. You've been
Well,
South Shore.
Well, I'm a Chicagoan now. I've been here like 40 years. And
Stop saying that. You don't have to say
Chicago, I go to art school, and I love Chicago. I stayed.
Right.
And I used to live on 69th and Crandon.
Okay.
Way back in the day. And so I've actually seen the changes of South Shore, and it's really kind of weird because I'm originally from Flint, Michigan. I came here, I got relatives that lived on the south side, had relatives that lived on the west side, but they never visited each other.
No.
Okay? And I lived, I lived all over Chicago. And part of the issue, Chicago is a city of neighborhoods that really self-isolates itself.
Yes.
Okay? And that's how people are on this end of 71st Street, don't go over the other end of 71st Street. To me, all of that, it's time to change. Chicago needs to become more inclusive, kind of like New York and other places I've been to, where people are not locked into their neighborhoods and really self-confining. And I think things could change immensely if people got out of their neighborhoods, went to meet other peoples, and visited the communities and everything, and break down. There's a lot of fear.
But the thing, Keith, I gotta interrupt you. The thing, you see, there's an issue there. You see, there's a big conflict in what you're saying right now and where you're sitting, right? The chamber's job is to drive business into this community,
Right.
which means bringing economic resources into the community.
Right.
We already all go. I go to a lot of different neighborhoods around
Raheem.
the city.
Another point of my job is to develop the people
Yeah.
who do not know
Yes.
what they should know in order to make the community stronger.
How successful has
Okay? And with those two things,
Right.
we will drive business into the
So yes, going out but that's bringing resources. But
bringing
that's an
resources in
exchange.
to develop those that are here that do not
That's what I'm
know.
saying. But there's an exchange happening, and what I'm pointing at is not an issue of that. It's the issue of the exchange. Oftentimes, it feels like things are going out, but they're not coming back in. And that's what you're doing with the art thing. The artists that are participating, the majority of them are not from the neighborhood. They're from all over, and that's what we've been pushing because there's an exchange happening. And often, what I'm concerned about is that when I want to go do something, I go other places. I order it from other places. I order it from overseas. And the issue is that if we don't figure out a way to have that exchange, commerce, then there's no way we can develop our own spaces. We'll never have. You understand? You understand?
Well,
Because there was a time when it used to be like that.
I agree, but I think that's what I think is good about this whole program, with the arts in the community and the sharing and getting people. I think it's a great idea and a great vehicle to get people to come from other areas of Chicago into South Shore and experience and really see the value and the beauty that's here. So I just think that a bigger effort needs to be made, by the chamber, by people in the neighborhood, the people that live here, to invite people here and try to establish and encourage things to happen here so that people will feel comfortable coming here and recognize, hey, there's something good there to experience. And so that's what I'd like to see really throughout Chicago. There are many good things that's happening in other neighborhoods that can happen here too. But I think people here may not know about what's going on, so they don't develop it. So I think if people could open up, share, invite people from other areas into the community, then I think you'll get that commerce happening again. And so that's why I think this is a good thing that's going on right now.
Right. We're going to let her go. And then
Well, first of all, my name's Deborah Harrington, and I've lived in South Shore most of my life, so I do remember the Hamilton and the Jeffrey Theater. I remember Joseph's Shoe Store. Yes, so this was a very self-sufficient community. And first of all, I just want to thank all of the people who have organized this, because as someone who is passionately connected to my community, and it's hard because as I get older, I think about moving out of South Shore, but it's what I know. It's my neighborhood. I love it. It's a dynamic, and to me it's the most beautiful neighborhood in the city. So I guess my comments go to driving business to South Shore, which clearly is a big part of the objective. I think that that's a noble cause, and certainly to have commerce in here is critical, because we need to reinvest our dollars and circulate our dollars in our own neighborhood and not have to go out of the neighborhood. But I also think that it's not exclusive, it's not mutually exclusive to community building. And so for me, I think that art, it certainly has intrinsic value, but it also should be a tool to build South Shore. So I think that, in building community, businesses will come. And so one of the things that you mentioned when you first started speaking really spoke to me, because I do a lot of, I feel like I'm a professional volunteer because I'm on a lot of boards and, task forces and commissions and things like that. But now that I no longer, work, I'm trying very desperately to become more connected to South Shore, to my community, and not be so concerned, which I am concerned about what's happening in Springfield and what's happening in City Hall. But what's most important is what's happening in my neighborhood. And so when you talk about being hyper-local, because for me, part of what Tianda said in terms of this being, looking at certain, ways to create avenues to really begin to start this, like your shacks and other things like that, sometimes it takes projects to get people engaged. And even if there's something like a hyper-local movement, if you will, to really inculcate that into all of us, to be thinking, how can we, be more intentional about spending our money in South Shore, but also, what are the things we need to do to really make this happen? How do we support, what are some really concrete ways that we can support an arts movement? Because I have one of these really linear brains, so I have to really be thinking about what are the action steps. But again, I guess, I just want to make sure that, for me, I certainly want to see the businesses come, but I want to see that in a way that is paying attention to our youth, and youth development, and leadership development, and community development. And so I just think that this is a really exciting moment for all of us, and I hope we don't lose this, this momentum, this in order to try to be thinking more critically about what are some of the next steps.
Excellent, thank you. We're going to get, these are going to be last two, and then we can continue talking, but it's 8:15, we're going to shut it down, and not shut it down, we're just going to transition to the next phase. Yes, it's 8:15, we'll get, just two more. Yes.
Okay, my name is Suzanne Armstrong. I did grow up in South Shore. I can relate to what these people said and what Deborah said about, the business community and the connectedness. So